Welcome to the Army Benefits Center Civilian Injury Compensation Center of Excellence presentation of Workers' Compensation Training for Department of Defense Education Activity Supervisors. The goal of this training is to help familiarize managers and their support staff with the Department of Labor, Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, and the Employees' Compensation Operations and Management Portal, or ECOMP. Your Injury Compensation Specialist, or ICS, is a Department of Army civilian who works at the Injury Compensation Center of Excellence, or ICCOE, located on Fort Riley. They are not employed by the Department of Labor, but rather serve as DoDEA's agency representatives in all Office of Workers' Compensation Program, or OWCP, matters. The ICS role with employees is limited. They may guide the claimant through the Department of Labor processes, but cannot represent the claimant or advise on the employee's decision-making process. The ICCOE injury compensation specialists are experienced HR specialists who support and advise the DoDEA supervisor on any matters pertaining to their employees' OWCP claims. The Injury Compensation Specialist is responsible for long-term OWCP case management, maintenance of OWCP case files, and responding to the official Freedom of Information Act or congressional inquiries relating to OWCP claims. DoDEA senior leadership have direct access to the Injury Compensation Specialist. Department of Defense Instruction Number 1400.25-V810 describes the roles and responsibilities of both the supervisor and the injury compensation specialist, among others. Per Department of Defense instruction, it is DoD policy to ensure that employees have the safe and healthy work environment to which they are entitled. Next, we will discuss the use of the Employee Compensation Operations and Management Portal, commonly called ECOMP. Use of the ECOMP automated claim filing system has proven to facilitate a more accurate and timely submission of injured workers' traumatic injury, illness, and compensation claims. ECOMP also ensures accountability and real-time tracking of the claim as it moves through each stage of the process, beginning when an employee files the claim in ECOMP through receipt of the claim by the Department of Labor. ECOMP is a Department of Labor Office of Workers' Compensation Program application that allows federal civilians employed or separated to file their voluntary claim forms. ECOMP allows an individual to file digital forms from any computer. The employee should file their digital portion without interference or influence from their employer. In order to complete the supervisor review, the supervisor does not need to register for an ECOMP account. Rather, a link will be sent to them in an email from noreply@ecomp.dol.gov. The employee claim link only remains valid for 72 hours before it will require an injury compensation specialist to refresh the link. The supervisor can also anticipate receiving reminder emails from their ICS periodically until the claim is certified. Experience has taught us it is helpful to copy and paste the link directly into one's browser rather than simply click on the link. If you are directed to review the rules of behavior, you are on the right track. As you read the rules, simply scroll down to the bottom of the window and acknowledge by checking the box. Proceed from there to complete the supervisor review. Selecting DoDEA as your agency when registering in ECOMP should follow the steps indicated on this slide. If a CA-16 form is necessary, it must be requested from and issued by the Army Benefits Center Civilian Injury Compensation Center of Excellence. Please be aware the CA-16 form will only be issued in emergency situations. Claims are processed very quickly in ECOMP. A claim number can be provided to a treating physician in a matter of hours in most cases. The agency, including both supervisor and agency reviewer, have just 14 calendar days to process the claim and forward it to the Department of Labor. Please do not hold up the processing of a claim by waiting for missing information or supporting medical documentation from an employee. Since claims are filed voluntarily, the burden of proof lies with the filer and not with the agency. Supervisors should review the ECOMP video tutorial offered on the Department of Labor's ECOMP homepage under the Selection Reviewing Forms as a Supervisor. The video tutorial is about 8 minutes long and can be paused on each screen as you maneuver through the claim. Noted on this slide is a visual representation of the ECOMP claims process for federal employees. Currently, DoDEA does not use ECOMP for OSHA 301 filing. Once an employee is injured or sick and files the OSHA 301 form through the usual DoDEA safety reporting procedures, it then becomes their choice whether or not to file a workers' compensation claim. Filing of a CA-1 or a CA-2 is always voluntary. If the employee opts to file a claim, it is forwarded to their first-level supervisor for review or to whomever is acting for that supervisor. Once the supervisor's review is completed and any necessary documentation has been uploaded, the supervisor certifies the claim and it is routed to the injury compensation specialist for agency review and finally submitted to the Department of Labor, where it is issued a claim number. The ECOMP process for federal contractors is a shorter process that involves the employee filing the OSHA 301 and the CA-1 or CA-2 forms. Once complete, the employee's supervisor completes and forwards both sets of documents to the OSHA record keeper, which ends the OSHA 301 process. The ICCOE Injury Compensation Specialist provides advisory and case management service to injured workers as well as their managers throughout the process for federal contractors. As a reminder, an employee's claim should never be held up for missing information. ECOMP allows the supervisor to return the claim to the filer if missing pieces of information or incorrect data were entered by the injured worker. For more information about how to return the claim, visit the web link on the slide to review the supervisor's ECOMP tutorial. In the event an employee routes the form to an incorrect supervisor or selects an incorrect agency, the supervisor should return the form to the employee by selecting "No, I cannot review the form." The supervisor will need to select a reason why they cannot review the form and return the form to the employee. The supervisor should complete each field under the supervisor portion of the form. Only the employee can change data in the employee section of the claim. If changes are needed and the employee agrees, the supervisor should reject the claim back to the employee when they reach the Sign and Forward screen. If the employee disagrees with the change, the supervisor should annotate this discrepancy in the field that asks, "Does your knowledge of the facts about this injury agree with statements of the employee and/or witnesses?" Always be as thorough as possible in completing the supervisor portion, as an approved claim is very costly to the agency. The reporting office address in Block 17 should read Army Benefit Center-Civilian, ICCOE, 305 Marshall Avenue, Fort Riley, Kansas, 66442-7005. It is important to note OSHA site codes do vary with location, so the assigned injury compensation specialist will enter the reporting office information upon completion of the agency review. There are times during the supervisor's ECOMP review where a DoDEA supervisor is presented with situations that could be unique to an educational setting. For example, in blocks 20 and 21, when reporting non-regular work schedules, i.e. substitutes or intermittent employees, you should enter no. This will gray out the regular work hours and work schedule data fields. It is important to report the schedule as it's regularly worked by that individual, since those hours are those used in Department of Labor's computations. Another example is in Block 30 when asked, was injury caused by a third party? It is important to note that a student should never be considered a third party. Additionally, Block 38 is the area in which you may challenge the claim or state why you disagree with any of the evidence provided within the claim. By entering data into this field, it will prompt the Department of Labor Claims Examiner to review the claim and may request additional information. Lastly, you should attach any evidentiary documentation you have supporting or challenging the claim at the time you are completing your supervisor review. Include witness statements, incident reports, and any medical documentation received to date. If you obtain evidence after filing, simply forward it to your assigned injury compensation specialist at the Army Benefits Center Civilian. The Injury Compensation Center of Excellence will review each claim in the order they are received or by the first in, first out method. If there are issues or concerns, the supervisor will receive an email or phone call from their assigned injury compensation specialist. The claimant can expect to receive their claim number within a few hours after the injury compensation specialist completes the agency review and submits the claim to the Department of Labor. This number will be sent to the email address registered in ECOMP. The claimant should then use that claim number and provide it to any hospital or physician who treated them for the work-related injury or illness. The issuance of a claim number by the Department of Labor does not mean the claim is approved. It's not unheard of for the Department of Labor to take months to adjudicate a claim. This can be dependent on the accuracy of the information provided by the claimant, the supervisor, the agency, the medical provider, and the responsiveness of the parties to the Department of Labor's requests for follow-up information. Within a few days of certifying the claim in supervisor review, you can anticipate receiving a supervisor responsibilities memorandum via email from the Injury Compensation Center of Excellence, along with other pertinent documentation related to your employee's claim. Please read the supervisor's memorandum in its entirety. You will be responsible for returning the hard copy signed CA-1 or CA-2 to the Army Benefits Center Civilian, ICCOE, via postal mail. The Department of Labor requires the agency to keep these original signatures on file for a period of 15 years following the closure of the claim. You will also be responsible for completing a Suspicious Claim Challenge or SCC form. This is not to be filled out with the claimant and is a supervisory form only. As such, you are validating by signature to state there wasn't anything suspicious or fraudulent about the injury claim. The SCC form is collected for every claim, whether or not the claim is suspicious. You can also anticipate your injury compensation specialist making contact with you regarding the claim either by phone or email once the claim filing process has been completed. If you wish to research OWCP and Federal Workers' Compensation Policy, a list of Office of Personnel Management, Department of Defense, and Department of Labor resources are listed here to assist your search. The following is a list of additional information, guidance, and references. A link to fillable forms found on the Department of Labor Forms page, excluding the CA-1 and CA-2, is also provided for your convenience. We recommend using the fillable forms found on the Department of Labor Forms page, as these fillable versions are sure to be the most updated versions of the Department of Labor's forms and are conveniently located in one place. This concludes the workers' compensation training for DoDEA supervisors and ECOMP overview. If you have further questions or concerns about the OWCP process, please don't hesitate to contact our call center by visiting https://abc.chra.army.mil and select the yellow Contact Us tab to ensure you are connecting with your agency's assigned benefits specialists. Call center hours are from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, with the exception of federal holidays. We would be happy to assist you with any questions you may have. You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for up-to-date agency information and benefits tips.